Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Stock. This video is for entertainment purposes only. Today I want to go over some of those stocks that I said were going along with the infrastructure play that we had with Biden. It was a wonderful day in the markets today, and that bias certainly helped along with the news that we had. And I'll share a couple of those companies with you just to take a look at how they did. Also, I want to bring up a little bit about Alpine 4 Holdings, ticker symbol ALPP. I want to talk about those because I think that we're hitting an interesting time, and I really think that there might be a little bit of opportunity there. So let's get right into it. Let's get ready to rock. Welcome back. Before we get started, down in the description is a link to my Patreon. If you go on over there and sign up for it, then you'll get access to my growth portfolio, my dividend portfolio, my weekly newsletter that I put out, and also the weekly watch list of stocks. And most of what's on there I put out, but also my patrons, whatever stocks that they also want to watch for the week, I have a form I have them fill out, and then I'll also add the stocks that they want to watch, so the entire community can take a look down through the list and take a part in that and see if there's anything that they want to look at as far as opportunities go, track the stocks that I'm tracking, and just generally talk about the market, talk about different investing and strategies and trades. All of that's over there in the Patreon. In the Discord is where most of the conversations happen. I also have my Patreon exclusive videos that I've started. I've put out the first 3. I like what I've got going so far. I'm excited about the next one to put out this weekend. So that link is down in the description if you're interested. Thank you ahead of time for any support that you show. Also down in the description, you'll find a link for Webull. By signing up and depositing $100, you get 2 free stocks. I get 2 free stocks for the referral. So thank you ahead of time for that. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, hit the like button, share it with your friends. Let's get on to the stocks. All right, the first company that I have for you is SunPower, and this one I mentioned yesterday, and I just wanted to show how it did today. Today up 6.12%, so not so bad as one of the solar plays, and I don't have to go through and show a lot of the different solar plays that we have because they all have charts that look very similar, at least in the movement that today had, that the infrastructure bringing in those renewable energies. Solar power certainly came in with that strength and didn't disappoint us there. Even if we look intraday, there you go. You can see that we tapered off pretty even as far as we got going on here. Also, if we take a look at ChargePoint, they had a fairly great day. Let me go back to the daily chart here. You can see the big spike up that they had not only in price but also on volume. We haven't seen this sort of volume since all the way back in, it looks like November, maybe about the time, well, it was late November that we have there. And this is a price that I think we needed to see it happen. We would like to see it continue to build from here. We certainly had that hype, that excitement. At one point, I think we were up like 20% in ChargePoint's stock price. So that was something I was excited to see. And even if we look at Beam, ticker symbol BEEM, I didn't mention this one yesterday, but you can see they also had a phenomenal day, up 16.43%. And if we look at Blink, so when you look at these charging plays, everybody seemed to be excited about it. It looks like Blink didn't have the volume spike that ChargePoint did, but we still had a good day, up 11.14%. So ChargePoint was the overall winner there, and being considered one of the leaders in their market space, I'm happy about its performance so far. If we look in the EV space, Tesla had a great day, up nearly 5%, and you can see this green bar that it had here, this sort of recovery that we would like to see, the sort of strength that we would like to see continue. And Tesla, I mean, their EVs, their renewable energy, their energy storage, like they're all over the place with everything that they offer. If you watch Meet Kevin at all, I've mentioned him before on this channel. He just does a wonderful job talking about Tesla. Somebody made a comment at some point in time about them functioning sort of like their own little ETF as an independent company. Just to be clear, they're not. They just have so many offerings that stand to benefit from this play that we have in the infrastructure with the EV growth and the renewables and everything. They're perfectly poised for just rampant growth as we go throughout this next decade. All right, so Alpine 4 Holdings, it just looks like they're still under Alpine 4 Tech, and right now they're an OTC stock, which means that they're not on any of the major indices that we have. So this is something that they've registered for an uplisting to the NASDAQ, and that's old news. That's happened a while ago, and I believe that it was back in February or so that we had that news, and we're still waiting for that uplisting to take place. And there are requirements that it takes to get into the NASDAQ. So I jotted a few of them down just so that I could mention them to you guys. So they need at least 125 million shares that are publicly traded. $4 a share. However, there are exceptions where it can trade for between $2 and $3 a share, and that's at the time of listing, at the close. And also, they need to be traded on at least between at least 2 to 4 brokerage houses that I have here. So the market makers that would have, and it depends on the price. So the brokerage houses, they're the ones who set the bid-ask prices, and they ensure liquidity or a smooth flow in the market. Also, they need 1.1 million shares in average daily trade volume. And it looks like on typical days they trade somewhere, even if we go down to a low day here, the lowest, one of the lowest days that we have here is still over that 1.4, so we'd have to look back at the previous year and see how they've traded in that way. They are excited and they are anticipating that they will get that uplisting. It's a $25,000 application fee, and should they get listed in the NASDAQ, then they have to pay additional funds of $150,000 up to $295,000 if that entry occurs. And there's a couple different standards. You only have to meet one of them entirely, and I believe the one that they meet is the assets and equity standard, and that means that they have to have a market cap of at least $160 million, and they do. $80 million in assets, and between their cash position that they have, cash equivalents, and their other assets that they have, I think that they hit that $80 million mark. And also the stockholder equity of at least $55 million. That's the part that I'm kind of questionable on. It's hard to see from their current financial statements, and that actually brings me to the next thing, which is that they don't actually report until, at the latest, I believe April 15th, they filed for an extension for their past year's earnings up through Q4 2020. That should happen within the next 15 days, so about 2 weeks or so. We should hear something about their financial reports, and we can see just how good of a year they've had for 2020. Where they really stand to gain and where people are most excited about, actually I think that there's two things. One, their sheet metal fabrication, I think, is one thing with the supply chains and things being made in America with Biden pushing for that. I think that's one thing people are excited about. And then also their value acquisition for their aerospace and their drones. I think that's another thing that really has people excited about taking advantage of that growing market opportunity with the drones in the aerospace. And then also Impossible Aerospace is one of that. And they have a bunch of other companies within their holdings where they tend to try to capitalize. So their business model is a driver, stabilizer, facilitator. And so drivers are the emerging markets that they're trying to get into companies that are emerging technologies or within emerging areas. They have stabilizers where they have steady revenues coming in, and then also facilitators, and these would be acquisitions that facilitate the functioning of their other acquisitions that they have or their other holdings that they have within their company. So some of the things that they have going for them already is government contract, and they're hoping for more government contracts. So if the government's pleased with what they produce, then it's possible that they could produce more. I believe that they also have dealings with some Fortune 500 companies, and that's one thing I didn't see a lot about that. So that's one that I'm working on reading more about. I'm continuing my research and my due diligence on ALPP, and one thing that would be exceptional if they do get uplisted to the NASDAQ is then that gives that stock exposure to institutional investors. So you would have large amounts of buying possible if these are companies, if these are institutions that actually really like ALPP as a company and see it as a serious growth company. And one thing that was in their report for ALPP, for the investor report, is that they reported that there was no investor selling in the past, no insider selling in the past 7 years. So since their inception, so they began in 2014, and nobody has sold off their shares. So that's a good sign because it would show better belief in their company that you don't have that insider selling. And they believe that they are capable of being at least a $9 billion company, and right now their market cap, from what I saw in Yahoo Finance, sits somewhere between $500 and $600 million. So they also anticipate to double within the next, or within 2021, or by the end of 2021, is one of the goals that they have set for themselves and one of the things that they anticipate. So ALPP, I have a few shares in this already in my growth portfolio, and I was in this and I sold some of them when it got up real high. I also bought some when it came down initially around the $6 mark or so, and then we had the big sell-off and everything, and it's not really done a whole lot to sell off since then. We've been kind of trying to hold on to that $4 mark, possibly for that NASDAQ listing. And if we do get uplisted, like I said, I not only do I anticipate the institutional buying, that is a possibility, but it also gives people who trade on platforms like Webull and Robinhood, who can't trade OTC stocks, it would give them the ability to trade ALPP on those platforms. So it would be more retail investors having access to trading shares of Alpine 4 Technologies. Alpine 4 Holdings now, they changed their name. So let me summarize. The infrastructure plays that we have between the EVs, the renewables, EV charging, construction plays, those are all things that we'll want to keep an eye on throughout 2021 as the infrastructure plan rolls out. ChargePoint, I'm pleased to see it gain some ground back. Tesla, I'm also pleased to say it gained some ground back. And that bull case that we saw coming from ARK Invest a week or 2 weeks ago, whenever it came out, that only considered the EVs. It didn't even consider, I don't believe it considered anything about the renewable energy or the power walls or anything like that. So this would be something that would also give more strength to that if that funding does come out and some of that gets used on that purchasing or that infrastructure build out that we have within the United States. ALPP, they're a penny stock company, and so, I mean, it's definitely going to be a risky play. You should do your own research and due diligence, find reasons that it would be good, but also find reasons that, you should stay away from it as an investor, and really looking at both sides of that is going to help you to make an informed decision. If there's something that you don't like about it, then don't trade it. If you like everything that you read about the company and you don't really see the roadblocks as lasting hurdles, or you see that it's something that they'll overcome, well, then that would be something that you might want to consider investing in. The decision is always yours to make. I'm just here to help present that information and present the different things that I find. If ALPP gets that NASDAQ uplisting, that should be a fairly good day for us. We should see that as a catalyst that they've made it into the NASDAQ. It brings more retail investors. It could possibly draw institutional investors, and those are all things that I welcome for ALPP going forward, and I think that they're going to have some nice growth also going forward, and I look forward to all that news coming out about the company. That's what I have for you today. If you're interested at all in stopping over at my Patreon, that link is down in the description. Also, the link for Webull is down there, so if you want to sign up and get deposit your $100 and get your 2 free stocks, that link's there for you. Thank you guys for all the support that you show. It really means a lot. I'm having a lot of fun doing this, and I look forward to producing more for you and, really not only working towards my own financial freedom, but also doing everything that I can to help you guys reach your own level of financial freedom that you're after. Remember, these videos are for entertainment purposes only. Always do your own research and due diligence. Contact a financial advisor before making any financial decisions. I'm Dr. Stock. Thanks for rocking with me. Now go get that money.